y-axis is doing and the x-axis is telling, and you have to be doing both at the same time for it to like have any coverage. Because if you're only doing stuff and you're not telling people about it, it's lost. And if you're only telling people about what you're doing, well then like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah, but it becomes so core for that to be like who you are that it ends up just representing constantly, right?
Yeah.
So you're always feeling it. You're kind of always there. You're representing it in the flesh, whether you're doing the doing or the telling. You're still the one out there making it happen.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We're rolling, Gardner.
Oh, geez.
What's up? Yeah. You had some little good words of wisdom there, man. Good to catch up with you
I didn't know we were actually rolling, but glad to be here.
It was getting a little bit juicy. I was like, let's grab this real quick because this is the essence of building. You know, this is beyond crypto.
Yeah.
I think you, Vidal, who we've been covering and do a lot of stuff with, Regen Roadshow, regenerative movement, crossing lines with decentralization. This is what's emerging from the fluffy crypto BS play casino movement, right? This is what's coming out of the ether. We have fun, fancy unicorn stuff, but it's like actually, this is the foundation. This is what we're building that's actually going to create the human solutions there.
Totally.
So that's where we're coming from. We go from zero to deep in 60 seconds.
Well, I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it, but it's a Web 2 cloud on this side and a Web 3 cloud on this side.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do is like merge these worlds because it's all the same thing. It's just the internet and it's just people using technology. But if they're not using technology to do real world things and that Venn diagram of IRL and URL, then like, what are we doing?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So the challenge here is making sure that we can have tools that anybody can access and they have integrity baked into the foundation of it all. And that's really what we're trying to do with Unicorn is make sure that everybody has access to these tools and doesn't get lost in the jargon and doesn't get lost in what is Web3. Like I've had people come up to me, that's why I love ETHDenver is because there's both the noobs and the OGs. And they're all intermingling and everybody wants to help each other. And that's why I love this vibe so much.
That's right. That's right. Well, I kind of play with things and say I'm a champion of the normies. So it's part of that approach of trying to make it presentable, approachable, make it relatable, right?
Make it fun.
Exactly. So like, how are you kind of packaging that and what's the functionality in there in Unicorn and how does that end up serving those who are like, well, I don't understand how it all works, but like how is Unicorn kind of bringing that to the masses?
Yeah, well, our goal is to onboard any community to a safe and simple Web3 experience and potentially profitable too, depending on kind of where you stand within your community and what you want to do to sustain that community, because profit shouldn't be a bad word.
Right.
It should just be allowed to sustain a community, and how you use it is the key. And that's what governance tools, and that's what voting is all about. And that's why on-chain, the ability to have on-chain transparency is so important around that. So like profitability kind of became a bad word in some circles because it's been used in a bad way, right? So like if we can create a more transparent way of bringing a bunch of people into all of this, that's our goal. And we do this through simple mechanisms of email sign-on. Everybody has an email account, and thanks to ERC 4337 account abstraction that can create an account abstracted wallet. You don't even have to call it a wallet. You can call it a loyalty points holder if you wanted to, because loyalty points are just tokens, but now you're actually self-custodying them. And we have the ability to tokenize domain names now, which is a really cool thing where some people may not know what .eth is, where you can tokenize a DNS like ethdenver.com is what we have done, or vdao.io. And you can put that as a subdomain as both a DNS that works in a browser, so gardner.ethdenver.com, gardner.vdao.io, and it's also a wallet address. So it works in the ENS world too. And so there's this seamless way that we can make these tools applicable and functional for anyone. And like what we did here at ETHDenver, in order to get people their own ETHDenver account, most people completely forgot. And that's the whole point.
Right.
We want to make something so functional that it's forgettable. Like that is the key.
Yeah.
And because good design just disappears. Now, the key is to make sure that once you are in the system, you understand what you should do. So we kind of created a Web3 enabled link tree. So you have only these like 5 or 6 banners of things that the community should be doing at any given time. So it might be like, hey, go check out our code of conduct first. You know, like, I don't know, maybe that's a little too mundane. Maybe it's like vote on, should we have a water slide at East Denver next year? You know, like whatever. Like,
interesting.
maybe something more fun.
Yeah.
But like these things that people just need to focus on, and they could be links out to Illuma, right? It could be like a Web 2 total thing. It could be a snapshot vote. And we create this backend builder that anybody can use. No code required. You could have a community manager, you could have a marketer, and they just put in the name of the community, the function of it. You can even hex code colors, select everything. And then you one click add these Web3 dApps. If you want a snapshot vote in there, you just add it and point it to the URL that people should go to. And then it wallet injects the wallet that was given to the user without them having to get a MetaMask, without having to have them know what seed phrases are, without having to have them worry about clicking a phishing link, because it only communicates with the curated contracts and tokens that the community manager, leader, whatever wants in that account system.
And it's been set up for that.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that was a bit of a monologue, but
No, it's good.
I think that hopefully explained it without showing it. I'm doing a lot of hand waving here.
So, the kind of the theme here, I'm curious how what your impression has been so far. We're talking about like year of the regen, right?
Yeah.
So there's kind of some sort of uprising of regenerative ideas coming out. Not too many actual products necessarily, but how do you see, we definitely see how you're reaching out towards kind of the normie space and really integrating here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any eyes on what's happening in kind of the regenerative system space and how that might be integrating here? Do you see things bubbling to the surface at all, and how maybe Unicorn plays into the regenerative type of approach?
Well, VDAO being our first client, first public client, because we've been working with clients like behind the scenes to kind of help them get them set up, and ETH Denver is of course one of them. But VDAO is like a strategic partner, I think, in all of this, because I want to align, and the reason that I got into the crypto space was to make sure that I aligned on a moral level with people as to why we are here and what we are doing. And that had a lot to do with digital self-sovereignty. But then you start to recognize that like physical self-sovereignty is probably actually maybe where we should be starting, right? Where it's like, if you're able to use or integrate a little bit better with the ecosystem. Instead, I should back that up and say, if you're able to integrate with the ecosystem instead of using the ecosystem, then you are part of a network that you can coexist with.
Right.
And with VDAO, I'm so excited about what they're doing. And in fact, I was first introduced to VDAO about this time last year at ETH Denver, where I stumbled into one of the talks and I was like, this is amazing. And I want to learn more about this. Immediately went to the side event that they were holding and learn more and more about what they're doing, and then just started to get more and more involved. And so having them be one of the first partners of ours and giving the community the ability, anybody, to get able to participate in the digital side of what they're doing was really important, because the first meeting I went to was a Zoom, and like it was a conversation around like, what's Discord? And it was like, there's such a huge divide between the people that are doing the work in the soil, like digging in the dirt, and those that are doing the same thing in the trenches in the digital sphere.
Yeah.
So like, it's a really important thing for me to be part of that community and bring it into the ability to scale this concept to as many people as possible. So you have self-sovereignty both in the digital and the IRL.
Yeah, we're connected with huge audiences of intentional communities,
Yeah.
Regenerative products, agriculture, rural development. Now they're called resilience communities, prepper communities. They call it back in the days, right? But it's all starting to understand that, like you're saying, we can create all these cool digital solutions, but our bodies have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
We still need places that people can hang out. And
but we still need to share knowledge with each other across continents. Right. You know, so like you still need the digital. Like unless we're all just like going off of textbooks, you know, that we have. I do have some textbooks just in case the internet goes down, of like how to fix things and do things. Like you got to be resilient in any way you can.
That's right. That's right.
So
but
it's like
blending, right? So it's like there was kind of this big movement probably the last 15, 20 years to the digital sphere. And it's kind of seems to be balancing out. The pendulum is like, well, we also need to be grounded. Like we need to have both. These both need to be emerging and developing and growing.
Well, I also think that it's like on the macro level, we start to recognize the fragility of getting toilet paper during a pandemic, you know, like eggs. Yeah, just recently.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you're like, well, why don't I have chickens? You know, like, and then you start to like go through those things of like, what does it mean to be resilient? You know, like in terms of shelter, in terms of water, in terms of electricity, in terms of food. And like everybody should be thinking about that. But it's so necessary to have people from all walks of life being in a community, helping each other work through some of those systems and have some of the hacks of those systems. And yeah, I could go into how I got inspired to do like water catchment and things like that to irrigate my garden and like put water back in my pool during the summer because it evaporates. Like I feel guilty about having a pool to begin with, right? And I'm like, well, how can I offset this? Like not just the guilt, but also like the ability to create a food forest on my property instead of having decorative plants. And then you start to rethink all of this stuff.
That's right.
So clearly I'm like super passionate about all of this, and I'll tone it down a little bit so you can ask more questions, or we can.
This is the space we're in. This is the space we're in, man. I think it's all emerging. We're really out here trying to capture the folks that are at that crossroads. Our focus is really at this regenerative meets decentralized.
Yeah.
Our philosophy, that's Loki, that's Regen, that's the communities that we're really engaging and that we're kind of covering is we need to have this integration of the regenerative and decentralized in order to create the solutions that make sense for real human needs.
Yeah.
Right. And if we can do that, those are the things that are going to actually sustain. They're going to be permanent. They're going to actually give us a foundation to be resilient forward. So I love that, man. It's great. And I've been tracking you for a while. We run into each other here and there.
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
Really cool to see these kind of things converging on each other there.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
That's right. So quick thing, what are the best ways? Unicorn.eth online. What's a good way to follow you? Any other quick ways that you can note for people to actually start following you and get involved there? Yeah,
I would say 2 call to actions. myunicornaccount.com is the top level domain that, or the DNS that we use. Unicorn.eth will resolve in a Brave browser, and you can find us there as well. But I would say the call to action is we are looking for communities that want to bridge Web 2 and Web 3. And we are looking for those that are opportunistic but risk averse. They want to keep a safe community, and they want to have actually a little less permissionlessness, right? Because like there's so much scam frauds that's happening out there. And that is the primary reason we actually started to create this project, was to insulate people, especially those that are vulnerable, that don't have the education, that don't have the awareness. And that ranges from an education level to an age level, like whatever it might be, people that aren't technically native, you know, to some degree. And then the other thing is we're looking for developers that are creating EVM smart contracts that we can put into our dApp Center. So the whole goal is to have interoperability of Web3. And so we want people to one click put Snapshot into their community and have people vote on chain, and they don't even know they're necessarily voting on chain. It's just like you are able to use all the Web3 tools that are interoperable already. So if you're creating a dApp, then you can go to github.com, my unicorn account /connect to us, and you can just incorporate the Third Web SDK. It's 8 lines of code, and then let us know, and we can put it into our app marketplace so other communities can use what you're doing.
Nice. That's awesome. That's you. All right. Last word is you. There are a lot of people out here building stuff, a lot of folks entering the space, just trying to learn, build, visionaries. What's one little message you want to leave for folks that are out here trying to engage and really build things? What's just a kind of a personal message you want to
show up? Just keep showing up. Whether it's online or it's in person, this project started because I went to one of these panels, and after the panel went up to my now co-founder, and we started talking about how to protect people in Web3. And a year later, we are the infrastructure and wallet provider for ETH Denver.
It's awesome.
That's how things happen.
Dude,
you
you're
just show
right
up.
on track. Show up. That's all I do. Keep showing up. Got to connect with you again.
Hell yeah.
Gardner, it's good, man. Thanks so much for doing this, taking a few minutes.
Well,
Looking forward
thanks.
to keeping track.
Keep telling people about everything that you're doing, and I'm excited to see what's next.
All right. Thanks, man.
Cool.